Dear leaders, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second edition of Leadership or Leaders. And I hope if you remember our first edition very well, you will surely remember the word vital or vitals. And we define the word vital using two examples of leaders. First of all, a bad leader, and we used bin Laden, who revived terrorism. Before, terrorism was kidnapping, but today terrorism has been modernized to chemical bombs and liquid bombs and also blowing off planes. So he is a leader and he fulfills the word vital. But we said we need to be good leaders. And the example of a good leader that we quoted is the Lord Jesus Christ, who has brought a change in the world. And the world today is in the image of a man who came to the world and brought a positive change. And so I hope you remember the word vital. Vital talks about a leader is a visionary. A leader is somebody who creates influence. According to John Maxwell, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. A leader brings transformation in the organization and the lives of people he has to deal with. Then the word T was talking about a transformation, and the word A talks about an army or a group of people that you are working with you to attain and accomplish a particular goal. And L talks about legacy, leaving footprints after you are gone. And S was talking about a servant's heart. So I hope you remember the word vital. Today we are getting into a new topic because that was just an introduction to leadership. And today we'll be, for the next 4 weeks, we'll be talking about personal leadership. Personal leadership. You must be able to lead yourself before you're able to lead others. That's what personal leadership is about. But before we get into personal leadership, please, I've told you I always give you a small nugget, something that you remember. And this is the nugget for today. He who fails to be an achiever cannot become a successful leader. You understand that? An achiever is somebody who succeeds at a personal level. And we're saying that if you fail to be an achiever, you cannot succeed as a leader. Because before you lead others, you must be able to lead yourself. And, you know, that's the problem in leadership, because we vote into position people who have no trace of success, who have no evidence of personal success, who have no accomplishments at a personal level. But we expect them to succeed at a corporate level, at a collective level. Take, for instance, you take a pastor, you nominate a pastor over a 5,000 member church, over a denomination, over an organization, and the person has no evidence of personal success at the personal level or at the minor level. You know, that's what happens with leadership in the corporate world and even with the government. Before you become a minister, you are first of all been an office head, then a sub-director or a service leader, and then the director, and then they see how you're able to lead at the lower levels. You know, in leadership, normally we talk about leaders with big L and leaders with small l. So, you know, if you are the leader of a small group, a family leader is a leader with a small L. You know, but the director of a big international enterprise is a leader with a big L. But before you become a leader with a big L, you must have proven yourself to be a good leader with a small l. And so we are saying personal leadership is somebody who first of all succeeds at a personal level before you can be able to help him or get him to succeed at a corporate level. And so if you have a position and you don't succeed, you don't prove, you don't show evidence of things that you are accomplishing, then you cannot be a corporate leader. And so that is a nugget for personal leadership. Succeed at the personal level, and then you have every reason to succeed at the corporate level. Now, we have a specific definition of personal leadership, which is totally different from, you know, the leadership that we talked of last time. You know, personal leadership is, and I want you to remember these 3 Ds, It's why the desire, the determination, or the discipline. And three very important words: desire, determination, and discipline of an individual who wants to take charge of his life and of his future. So in personal leadership, it's about me, it's about my life, it's about my future. And so in personal leadership, we're not talking about position, we're not talking about possession, but we're talking about a process of building your future and becoming somebody. Now, let me tell you the definition of an author who is called Sheila Ramsey, and this is what Sheila Ramsey says about personal leadership. Personal leadership describes the way of being and of interacting with the world that begins from the inside out. You understand that? And I'm coming to some very vital issues that you need to understand about personal leadership. Because personal leadership begins from the inside and it comes out. And it's talking about my being before talking of my doing. So it talks first of all about the being, the inside, the who I am, and then it talks about what I can do or what I can realize. If you are not the person, then you cannot realize anything. So in personal leadership, we talk about the being and the doing. We talk about the inside and the outside. And you realize that this is a big problem about many of our leaders because they don't really have personal leadership qualities. So personal leadership offers the possibility of creativity and inspirational relationships, to work, whether it's at the level of the family, at the level of, friends, at the level of an organization or a level of colleagues, to be able to influence them to realize something. But it's, again, remember, in personal leadership, there's first of all the being before the doing. And because of this, I want to introduce you to 5 C's that describe personal leadership. The first C is character. A personal leader must have the most important ingredient of character. But unfortunately, in our society, and especially in the African society, character is one of the most lacking elements in leadership. People who don't have a personality that is worth emulating, you put them in positions of leadership, and then they mislead the people. And we are suffering that in many countries in Africa. We are suffering that in many organizations. And we are even suffering that in many churches where you don't have leaders with the character that is needed. The second quality of leadership, of personal leadership, is competence. Now, competence talks about the outside, the doing. Character talks about the inside, the being. Then the third C is commitment. Now it talks about the individual's ability, to be willing and committed to do whatever needs to be done. The fourth C is collaboration. Collaboration means that as you're working in a team, you are working with friends, you must be able to collaborate. You must be able to build relationships. And the last C of personal leadership is continuity. You must think of the future. You must think of building a legacy. So I hope you remember the 5 C's of personal leadership. If you can remember them, the first one is character. The second one is competence. The third one is commitment. The fourth is collaboration. And the fifth is continuity. I hope you remember the 5 C's of personal leadership. Now, character is the heart of personal leadership. I would even say the heart of all leadership. And then, because character is responsible for everything. It's responsible for confidence. It's responsible for correctness. It's responsible for mutual respect. It's responsible for success. And it's also responsible for self-esteem. If you have character, then you will have people around you who will be able to respect you because you are somebody who is worth emulating. So let me introduce you to a second word about personal leadership, which talks about the qualities. What are the qualities of a personal leader? I'm not going to talk about the 5 C's today because in our subsequent emissions, we'll be taking each of the C's and we'll be getting into details to understand what character is all about, what competence is all about, what commitment is all about, what collaboration is all about, what continuity is all about. But today I want to lead, help you to understand the qualities of a personal leader. And if you have good qualities of a personal leader, you must be valid. Again, I like to use acronyms, words which refer to acronyms, because it will help you to remember. A good personal leader must be valid. And of course, you know what valid means. Valid means it's accepted, it is correct, it is worth emulating. So a good leader is valid. And what does valid stand for? V stands for value. You remember the other V stood for vision. But today, personal qualities, V stands for values. A stands for analysis. L stands for legacy. You see, legacy keeps coming back because it's a very important word. I stands for impact. D stands for direction. And E stands for evidence. So I just want to elaborate on these 5 or 6 words, V-A-L-I-D-E, which describe personal leadership. The first word is value. V stands for value. A leader must have strong personal intrinsic values. It's what we call in leadership core values, or what we say fundamental values. And you know, fundamental values really talk about the moral and the ethical compass that directs the life of somebody. You know what a compass is? If the compass is leading you to the north, it will always lead you to the north. And so values are the moral and the ethical principles, which we use the word compass, that say, this is the way I need to behave. This is the way I need to understand things. And let me tell you, values are built up by what your belief system. Your belief system determines your values, determines your core values. And what do you believe in? If you believe in Satanism, you believe in atheism, you believe in idolatry, then it will develop your core values. But if you believe in Jesus, you believe in the creator of the universe, you believe in God, and you believe in the word of God, you believe in the Bible, that will also determine your core values. So your core values are determined by your belief system. And the belief system develops what you call your ethics, develops what you call your morality, develops what you call your principles. So every person must have core values. What are your core values? And where do your core values come from? They will determine the kind of person you are. And I want to say that there's a problem with core values in Cameroon, in Africa, because many people, they change. They are like chameleons. A chameleon takes the color of the environment. So when they're in a corrupt environment, they become corrupt. Then when they come to church, they pretend to be Christians. I was just dealing with somebody today who takes the local color. But that's not a good personal leader. A personal leader has values in him that cannot be altered by the environment in which he lives. I want to ask you, what are your core values? The second word that describes value is analysis. Analysis talks about being able to self-examine and have introspection and be able to see, who am I? The things that I'm doing, do they correspond with what I want people to know about me? Introspection is very important, and there are many people in the world who do not do introspection. At the end of the day, you need a silent moment where you find out, what did I do today? What did I do wrong? And what did I do right? Did it reflect who I am? Did it reflect my personality? It's very important. Every personal leader must have time to analyze himself and to introspect himself. You know, then I told you, L talks about legacy, talks about building the future. What future am I building? Let me tell you, there are two kinds of leaders in the world. Leaders who are forgotten after they leave the scene, and the people even are happy that they leave the scene because they left a very bad image. But good leaders are remembered because of their legacy, of the things, the change, the positive change that they brought in society. A good personal leader must be ready to leave behind him a good heritage. The fourth word is impact. Impact, again, impact, influence, they say the same thing. But they say positive, durable change that you bring in the life of individuals, the life of a society, that makes your footprints an impact. So you have to accept the challenges, you have to ameliorate things in their life. And direction talks about the sense of leadership. Where am I going to? You know, every person in the world should be able to say, if the Lord granted me grace to live for 80 years, of course, you know, the Bible says in Psalms 90 that the lifespan of a man is 70 years and by measure of strength 80. It doesn't mean that people will die at the age of 80. Of course, you know, our president is above 90 and he's still in the position of leadership. So, you know, the Bible is not saying that at 80 you are dying, but the Bible is saying by 80 you must have created a positive impact, values that will be remembered after you are gone. And so the question is, if you live up to 80 years and above, what will people remember you for? If you have nothing for which people remember you today, well, I think you still have some time to live. Then you decide to say, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, people, when they call my name, people will remember me for this. And that will be talking about a sense of direction. That will talk about your product. That will be talking about your vision. That will be talking about the goals. That will be talking about the future, the positive future that you want to create in the world. And of course, you know, a personal leader creates a positive future in his life, first of all. Secondly, in his family. And thirdly, in his society. So remember that. You must create a positive impact in your life, in your society, and also in your family. That's direction. So you need to have a vision, you need to have a mission, you need to have goals, and you need to have strategies on how to accomplish that. The last word on valid is E, and E talks of evidence. Evidence talks about, you know, what are the results? What are the fruits of my leadership? What have I accomplished? What have I left behind me? What will people remember me for? So I hope as a leader you remember the word valid. Valid, again, if you are with me, valid talks about 1, values, A, analysis, introspection, L, legacy, you know, E, impact, D, direction, and E, evidence. So while I conclude with the first lesson on personal leadership, you'll remember the word vital from our first lecture, and you'll remember today 2 words. First of all, valid, and then secondly, the 5 S that describe Christian leadership. First of all, valid. You remember the word valid, but the 5 S that describe personal leadership, if you remember them, 1 is character, 2 is competence, 3 is commitment, then you have collaboration, and finally you have continuity. So I hope you are enjoying our lectures, and I hope you are learning something about leadership. You can get to know more about leadership by consulting us. I am the founder, president of Lead Higher Institute, and also Lead Professional Training Center in Yaoundé and in Cameroon. So get to know more about leadership, but for today, remember 3 words. 1, vitals. 2, valid. And 3, the 5 C's that talk about personal leadership. God richly bless you, and looking forward to seeing you next week for the continuation of the lesson on personal leadership.